YouTube. This is the Pharaoh Test, and I'm back today with another quick video. In today's video, I was just thinking about so many things that happened this week with the here in Houston with the ice storm all over Texas, pretty much all over the United States. It was kind of crazy, but today's video is not really about the storm more so than what happens after the storm. You know what happens. I mean, like today, I'm here in Houston. I didn't have to work today. It was almost 80 degrees. 2 days earlier, it was 25, 14, 10, and people dying, cold, no water, no lights, food. And now we back to 80 degrees, and I'm looking out the window, and everyone is just business as usual, you know? They don't know who got left behind and who didn't make it. You know, we're just back to whatever they were doing before the storm. I don't know why today is the day that kind of it really got to me because I guess people don't really stop to think. People are so used to doing whatever they want, however they want, wherever they want. They don't look to see what they left behind. I don't know. And so today, we'll be back in Houston and looking at these cars going up and down Beltway 8, wall to wall cars, and how things change so quickly. And by the time things change, you don't really get a chance to deal with the change. You don't get a chance to deal with what's going on before the change took place. And for the last 400 or 500 years, things been happening to us. It don't never end. And you never get a chance to heal. You never get a chance to, you never get a break. You never get a chance to heal. You never get a chance to wonder, You just keep going. I don't know. You never get a chance to recuperate. Events just keep happening, and I just wish that we could just take time off just to. I mean, even if we did, because we don't control anything, we just go through it again and again and again, year after year, generation after generation. This video today is not about being depressed. I know it may sound like it, but it's not. I guess today I'm just alone here and I'm thinking about everything that took place when I looked out this window and I saw the snow and the ice and I saw people cold, and I was too. I was in the hotel with no power and it was cold. And then finally, when the power came back on, 1:42 in the morning, there wasn't any water, you know. And so I'm looking at the same window right now, and it's 75 degrees, and it's wall-to-wall cars, and life just came and went. Tragedies just came and went, and some people didn't make it, and they're not even here to see the 75-degree weather. Also I wanted to talk about at the end of my videos, I always talk about stay spiritual, live intentional. And the purpose of that is to say, whatever you do it with intent. Mean what you do, mean what you say. That's what intent is. Your intentions of why it is that you do whatever it is that you do. Just mean it. And whatever it is you do, make sure it's spiritual. I'm not saying just do you. I'm just saying whatever you do, make sure it lines up with the spirit of the Most High, and it's intentional. Because we only get one life. We only get one chance. And here in America, you barely get that chance. And if you gotta know what you're doing, if they don't even give you a chance to mess up. So be intentional in the things you do and the things you say, and what you mean and where you go. Because time is winding up so quickly. And you think about that storm that came and went, it's not even a discussion anymore. It's just gone. Now we're back to 85-degree weather for the next week. And so, you just gotta find where you fit in life and make it count. Make whatever you do count. Whatever you say, make sure you mean it. Make sure it's edifying. Make sure it counts for something. Because we don't know how long we're gonna be here. We don't know what tomorrow gonna bring. And when we're no longer here, we want to make sure we made it count. We lived our life to the best of our abilities and enjoy the life along the way. And the people around us, helping one another around us. When I was in the hotel, when we didn't have any power, a lot of us was down in the lobby. Black, white, blue, green, everybody was down in the lobby. And we were down in the lobby, we were just talking about so many different things. We never even brought up the fact that the power was out. We didn't focus on it. We only focused on each other and wrapped up in blankets and sitting outside looking out the window. Um, the doors, it had real big doors so that you could look outside and sit at this little it was like a big round table, real soft round table. You can sit there and you can talk. And we just talked about what we did for a living, how we wound up at the hotel, each other's hair, and just all kind of stuff. We never talked about the ice storm. We didn't talk about that. We never talked about power being out. We just knew where we were at that moment is where we were. And I remember the manager was there, and I asked him, "How's everything going on at his house?" And he mentioned that his wife was at home and along with the kids, but he wasn't going to leave the hotel. He wasn't going to leave the guests, until he knew the lights were back on and everyone was safe. But he knew his family was safe because he talked with his wife before he left the house, and a lot of phones didn't work. You can call somebody, you could text them, they'll get the text, but they couldn't get a phone call. It just clicked. So you couldn't talk to anyone on the phone. But the manager, he stayed at the hotel with us. Everybody who opened the door, who knocked on the door to come in, he opened the door. And then it really didn't matter what color you were, how much money you made. No one knew any of that. We just tried to appreciate one another's company. And then when it was time to go to our rooms one by one, we all went to our rooms. The manager walked us to our rooms. Some of the men walked some women to their rooms and our husbands, and we went to our rooms, but no one was left alone to fend for themselves. Everyone was taken care of. And I thought that was awesome, and then you look, and now today, everyone's back to what they were doing before with no regard for no one else. But during that crisis, it didn't matter who you were. People looked out for each other, at least where I was. And the manager, he never went home. And the manager, along with the maintenance man, he was there too. He couldn't even get home, so he stayed there, made sure everybody got in their rooms, had extra blankets. And why I'm bringing this up, and I also kept saying this is not about the storm, but I'm bringing this up because It really didn't matter who you were or what you looked like. We was all in the same boat. And now everybody's in their own boats, going wherever, doing whatever, wherever. So what that got to do with living intentional and staying spiritual? It has a lot to do with that because wherever we were at that day, at that time, is where I was supposed to have been. Let me tell you why. I drive a truck. I own a trucking company here in Houston. I happened to drive the truck that day. I drove. Now I drove the truck that Thursday. I picked up the load in Louisiana, and I got there early enough to get loaded. I was supposed to load at 9 o'clock in the morning. They didn't load me till 6 o'clock at night. I was upset because I had things I had to do, but to God be the glory. And this is where the spirituality comes in at because you got to stay spiritual doing all this, everything that's going on. Now I didn't get upset. I was a little annoyed, but I mean you couldn't tell. I wanted to get ahead of what was going on. So they didn't load me till about 5:30, 6 o'clock that night. Now I own a tanker company like oil and gas stuff, right? So I own a lot of tanks. So when they loaded my tank, I had to get on the scale, and they scale you out to see how much product you have on your trailer. Trailer holds 45,000 pounds, and this trailer holds 45,000 pounds, so it's a total of 80,000 pounds altogether. Anyway, this is just about trucking real quick. This is what I do, you know. Anyway, so when I was on the scale master was talking to me about the big old crash they had in Dallas. I was like, what? He said, yeah, they had a 136 car pile up and down. Look at this. He showed me the video, showed me where it was. And all I could do was just thank God because it's making me emotional now because I'm telling you, if they loaded me on time, I would have been in that crash. I would have been there because that was my route. And after he showed me that video, when I saw the truck going into all them cars, I didn't want to see no more because I can't put that in my spirit. That's another thing too. Something you don't want in your spirit because it stay there and it replay itself, and you don't want that. Anyway, so when I saw that truck hit all those cars, I found myself at a truck stop and I stayed there until Friday morning. Friday morning, I got up, I ate breakfast, and I headed to Houston. I called my agent, let him know that load wasn't gonna be there. It's supposed to be there. That load was supposed to have been there. I was gonna get there Saturday. I load on Thursday morning. No, that load was gonna be there Friday. That's my plan anyway. That load was supposed to have been there Friday. But the Lord had other plans. So what I did, I went to the truck stop, spent the night, got up, ate breakfast the next morning, and I went straight to Houston. I called my agent, let him know the load wasn't gonna be there. He said, "When you think the load's gonna get there?" I said, "I don't know." I said because that accident they had in Dallas, if they would have loaded me when they were supposed to, I would have been there, and we wouldn't even be talking now. So he said, "Well, let me know." And I said, when I find out, I'll let you know. But I didn't deliver that load until Saturday, a couple days ago. I had it for I had that load over a week. I had that trailer loaded, and I own the trailer. That trailer didn't make no money for a whole week. So finally, I unloaded the trailer on Saturday, which was a week later. And so this is where the intentional part comes in at. Now the spiritual part comes in that you gotta stay spiritual because you gotta stay in line with the spirit of the Most High. Because if we don't, and we operate under our own authority or under our own um, what's the word they always use? Our own righteousness. Once we start operating on our own righteousness, then you're gonna encounter some problems. So that's the reason why you gotta stay spiritual and stay in tune with the Spirit of the Most High. Because if I would have had my own way, operate under my own righteousness, I wouldn't even be talking today. There wouldn't be nothing to discuss. So the intentional part is, I made the commitment Thursday when I was on that scale, and the scale master told me what the accident looked like. I made a commitment then. In spite of all the money that we could have made, I should have made, or I think I could have made, it didn't matter to me because I knew if I would have operated under my own authority the way I thought, and I prepared for being early, I prepared for it. If God had intervened, then I wouldn't be there. But so I decided that that trailer wasn't gonna get unloaded until it was safe for me or anybody else to pull that trailer up there and to get it unloaded. We wasn't gonna risk our life or hurt anyone else trying to get a trailer somewhere in the middle of an ice storm. We wasn't gonna do it. So the intentions were, when it's safe and legal, we'll get it there. So I delivered the load Saturday. And when I got to the customer, all the way in Midland, I had to go to Midland, Odessa, Texas. On its way on the other side of 20 West. It's a mile marker all the way to almost to the end. And so when I got to the customer said they weren't even open. They didn't even open. And I got there on Saturday. They opened on Friday. I'm not talking about, let me see if I got this right. Today's Tuesday. Yeah, we're talking about they didn't open up until the day before I got there. That was a week later. And when they got there, they couldn't even do anything because everything they had, all the product and all their trailers, and all their tanks and all their trails was frozen. The water was frozen, all the product was frozen, the tanks were busting because the product was frozen. And when you, just like pipes bust, tanks do too. And my product that we delivered on Saturday was the only product they could use. Now you see, that's the intent. The intent was to stay safe, get there when it's safe and legal. Even if you're gonna have to take a loss, it's a bigger loss to lose a truck, trailer, and a driver. That's a bigger loss than losing a load or freezing a load freezing, or the money I lost. Losing a truck, a trailer, and a driver. And the perfect history that we have is more. So when he told me that they want to open anyway, and I would have, or the driver would have drove out there, I would have drove out there and just would have been sitting there. And out there in the middle of the desert, it's like a desert. It's cold at night. And if you're talking about 10 degrees, 0 degrees, -10, and you sitting there in a truck for 4 days, 5 days, freezing, and no one else open, but it was all the part of the spirit. That was part of the spirit. And this is the reason why I'm talking about this today, about living intentional, stay spiritual, because you have to have your mind made up what you're going to do. You got to have a plan. You have to have your mind made up, and you're going to have to do it. But whatever it is you do, you have to make sure it lines up with the Spirit of the Most High. Because if it don't, it's not going to work. And if you operate on your own righteousness, look what it would have cost me. Doing my own thing. But I don't do my own thing anyway, but I used to before I learned. Because when you know better, you do better. And then when you own a business, and you own everything, everything counts, and everything costs you money. And today, let me see, is on my agent. When I sent my agent the message, the load was delivered, I delivered it. He sent me an email. I wish I could read the email. The email was pretty much talking about how. Let me see if I can get this email. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can get this email. I'm gonna read it. Hold on a minute. I'm gonna read this email. to see if I can find his email so I can read what he sent to me. This guy's been my agent for the last 6 years when I started my business. Trying to see if I can find the email he sent me. Hopefully I didn't delete it. Okay, here it is. I found the email. It says, "You're the best by a long shot. We sincerely appreciate your professionalism, shown regard and safety, storage, and delivery of a special load. Thank you so much for everything you've done in keeping everybody and everything safe. It made the delivery and the transfer on time, safely, as usual." Now, when I say, when it says as usual, I don't know how many loads we delivered for this guy. We've delivered loads for him for the last 6 years, and we never missed one. Never been late. Never missed one. And anybody that drives a truck knows you're only as good as the load you on. But when he sent me that email about my professionalism and everything I've done, I just told him, "Don't thank me, just thank the Lord, because if I would have did it my way, he wouldn't even been thanking me. We would have figured out how we gonna clean up." And at the end of the day, my point is, I just told him, praise the Lord, because it wasn't because I was so great. It's just that I'm in tune with the Spirit of the Most High. He's my God. He's my God. And He's my Father, and I try my best to do the things that are pleasing in His sight. I fall short quite often, I'm sure. However, I know what's right, and I try to do what's right. And because I own this business, we're 100% on time. We're 100%. And I brag about that, because when I first started, my whole intention for moving to Houston was to do what I'm doing right now. And a little bit of history on that. These are facts. When I first came to Houston, I only had enough money to come one way. I just believed the Lord was gonna bless me. I had enough money to go one way. I packed my truck up, my pickup truck, and I drove all the way to Houston. November 28th, 2011. Just on a promise of a job. But the scripture said, "Believe those things that are not as though they are." And I believed that He was going to bless me with this job. But I didn't really believe He was going to bless me. I just believed that Lord was going to bless me with what I was looking for. And my goal was to start my own tanker company. And that's exactly what I did. And how I did it, when I first came to Houston, November 28, 2011, I was a company driver for a company, Superior Company. Not the company Superior, but a Superior super company that had awesome equipment, trucks, trailers, been in business for years. And I was the first woman they ever hired. First black woman, first melanated woman, first black woman, first whatever. I was the first one they ever hired out of all of the years. And what I did, the truck I got today, actually, the one I drive sometimes. In order for you to start a trucking company, you gotta have a truck. You can't just have an idea. You gotta have a truck that's working. And I drove that truck for 3 years for this guy. I worked for the owner of the company because I was the only woman, and so they gave me a hard time. But I knew my intent was to end up where I'm at today. In order for me to get there, you have to go through. And I went through a lot to get to where I'm at. And I'm not even where I want to be. Actually, I'm getting ready to get out of it. Anyway, so when I got my truck, as a company driver in November 2011. I drove that truck as a company driver for 3 years, and I stayed at the truck stop. I made a lot of money, but I knew what my plan was. My plan was to buy a truck, start my own business. So I worked. I made a lot of money, and so I stayed at this truck stop for 3 years, right here in 225 in Pasadena, on LaPorte, Texas. I guess that's LaPorte, I guess, Texas, which is right here. Houston, LaPorte, Pasadena, they all 1 mile within each other. Anyway, I stayed at this Shell gas station until I had enough money to buy a truck. When all those people that I knew at the job always want to holler at me and get to know me because I was a woman, I was the first woman, and I'm attractive and I'm slim, and everybody wanted to get to know me and get to know me, get to know me, but they didn't know how I was living. They would have found out how I was living, they probably wanted to get to know me because I was living homeless in my truck, but living at the truck stop. So, make a long story short, I saved up enough money to buy my truck. When I bought my truck, I paid cash, brand new. But the truck I bought, the truck I want now, the truck I bought, I own the truck now, but the truck I was in when I was trying to buy a truck, I wasn't even trying to buy the one I bought. I was trying to buy a different one because I didn't think he was going to sell me. I didn't even think about buying the one I own today. I wasn't even trying to buy that one. I wasn't trying. I was going to buy a different one, and they sent me to California to drop a load off in California. And before I went to go look at a truck, and the man called me when I was almost in California. He found a truck. And if I put down $10,000 a day, then and he'll hold it for me. And so I was like, I'm not even interested. I'm not going to get $10,000 to hold a truck I never even saw before. And I won't get my money back. And I'm not going to nickel and dime you. Give you 10. You want me to give you 10,000 today on the truck I never even saw. I told him, I said, when I get back, I'll take a look at it. He said, well, it ain't gonna be here when you get back. I said, well, my money ain't gonna be there when I get back either. So I just tell you what, if it ain't there, then I ain't missing nothing. Hell, I never saw it, but I'm gonna give you 10,000 on something I never saw, and it may not be there when I get back. It may not even be there now. So I told him, all right, well, sell it to somebody else. And of course he did. He sold that truck to a friend of mine who worked for the same company that I was working for. But he didn't know I was gonna buy it. But anyway, he bought that. He got the truck that was for him. So I talked to my partner about the truck, and he said, why don't you just go ahead and buy the one you in? I said, man, they ain't gonna sell me this truck brand new. He said, why don't you just ask him? So I was on my way to Chicago anyway. After I went to North, once I dropped in California, I was on my way back to Chicago. So when I went up there, my friend, he was there, my partner, he was there. And he said, I'll let you talk to the owner, and I said, man, I know the owner. But nobody knew I was working for the owner except me. Nobody knew that. But I knew the owner because I was working for him, but no one knew I was working for him. I mean, what I mean by that is that everybody has like a terminal manager and they work for that terminal, but I work for the owner, but through the terminal in Houston. So anyway, so when I got up there, I was really apprehensive about buying that truck because I didn't want to hear tell me no. So I was like, I asked him. He said, I tell you what, I tell you in 3 days. So in 3 days, I stayed in Chicago for 3 days. So in 3 days, on the third day he got back to me, he told me I'm gonna sell that truck to you for $115,000. So I said, that's it? He was like, yeah. So I was like, all right. And so he said, all you gotta do is give me 10% down. I was like, that's it? He said, yeah, that's it. Just give me 10% down. So I said, okay. I wrote him a check, gave him his money, because I already had it. But I didn't know he was gonna sell that truck for $115,000. I thought he was gonna sell it for like $160,000, because that's how much it costs. But I've been driving it for 3 years, so he gave it to me for $115,000. So anyway, so I gave him the money he asked for. and I drove the truck. 3 months later, on February 28th, 2015, remember I got there November 28th to go through orientation. November 28th, 2011, I drove the 11, 12, 13, 14. I drove the truck until 2015. I was still working for him, but I paid it off. I bought the truck 2 months later anyway. So a couple months later, I paid the truck off, and I got my title basically on the 28th, 2015. He sent me he mailed my title. Excuse me. And so that was just the first step. That's intentional. My intent was to come to Houston to work for this company. Remember, I only had enough money to go one way. I haven't even been back yet, and it's been 10 years. How long has it been? Yeah, 10 years, and I haven't been back yet. Anyway, so I paid the truck off. I went ahead and paid for it. I gave him the money. He took the check. I gave him a money order, so he took the check, gave me my title the next day. So it was here, back to Houston. So I drove for him for another 90 days. But I already knew I had my trailer. I was getting ready to buy a tank. And I was at this. Now, I've been driving for him as an owner operator for, I think, 90 days. Because I went ahead and bought my truck. I just went ahead and paid for my truck. Because when you buy a truck from companies, some of them, I don't know, this never happened to me, but I heard it happens. They'll make sure you don't keep it. They'll do stuff to make sure you can't afford it, or you owe them and you stay in the hole. And I never did that because I made the sacrifice in the beginning by not having nowhere to stay and saving the money. Anyway, so I remember I was on the car lot here in Houston, and I was looking at a brand new Tahoe, and I was really getting ready to buy this Tahoe. And I heard the Lord tell me, He said, "You want a new truck or you want a new trailer?" I was like, "What? Do you want a new truck or do you want a new trailer?" So I called my boy up. I was like, "I just heard from the Lord. I heard from the Lord. The Lord asked me a question." He was like, "Well, what's up?" I said, "I'm looking at this Tahoe." He said, "Oh yeah, that's cool. That's a nice truck." I said, "The Lord asked me, do I want a new truck or do I want a new trailer?" I was like, "Oh man, my credit was perfect too." I said it was. Well, it's not that bad now, but it was almost 800. And I was getting ready to buy me a truck, but when I heard the Lord say, "You want a new truck or trailer?" I already knew it was time to get my trailer. So I went and bought my trailer. My first trailer was $80,000, brand new, new dime, new stainless steel trailer, brand new all the way. Well, it wasn't quite all the way. Some of the bells and whistles I really wanted to have on it. When you buy a brand new tank, it ain't all the way. Just wheels and everything you need to pull a load, but some of them bells and whistles you want ain't on it. Anyway, so I want to get my new trailer. So before I picked up my trailer, the Lord asked me to ask the guy that I was working for if he'll lease me a trailer, because he said he leased trailers. This real talk, this facts. I'm telling you about going through stuff. I'm telling you these facts. People don't want you to have nothing. I'm telling you. So I asked him if he'll lease me a trailer, and he said, "What you gonna do with it?" I said, "Well, I bought my truck, and I want to know if I can lease your trailer." So he told me, he said, "If you stay here with me, I'll lease that trailer to you for $1,500 a month and I give you 1% more on the load. So if we get paid percentage, it might be 70%, 72%, but he gonna give me 1% more on the load." And I said, "But 1% of what is what?" He said, "Well, since you asking me about leasing my trailer, that lets me know that you're gonna be part of my competition." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, I don't think I want to lease you a trailer. I said, that's all right. You don't have to. I just wanted to know, you know. And so he leased trailers, though, but he didn't lease one to me. Anyway, so I asked the Lord. I was like, Lord, why you wanted me to ask him if to lease me a trailer if you knew you were gonna say no? And the Lord didn't tell me for maybe about 6 months. Why? In the meantime, I went ahead and bought my trailer, and then I quit because I knew he didn't want to have nothing to do with me no more because he knew I knew. You see, once you know better, you do better. You see, once you ever learn the truth about anything, it opens doors for other avenues of more truth. And once truth is your motivator, and your intent is to know the truth, there ain't no coming back from that. Anyway, so I wound up buying my own trailer, and I've been on my own ever since. And so, what's the purpose of this story? The story is, whatever you do, you just be sure you're doing with good intentions, and make sure you stay spiritual because those two go together. They both go together because you can't have one without the other. If the Lord wasn't with me, I'm a black woman, and I own tanks. I have these guys over here. They watch my trails all the time. They didn't even know I owned them. He didn't even know I owned the tanks, and he been watching them for years. And then finally, the terminal manager that I parked my equipment at, he asked me one day, because he kept wondering why I kept paying why you always paying the bill for the guy who owned this company? I said, I own the company. He said, how many trucks you got? I said, I only got one. I said, but I own all the tanks. He never said a word to me no more. Never. He still watched my trailers though, but he never said a word to me ever. And when he see me, he don't say nothing. And one more thing, we talk about going through stuff. When I bought my trailers, my credit score was almost 800. I never put down a dime on none of them. And I remember when he told me, the person who sold me the trailers told me this. Now I know he never said this before to nobody. I know he didn't. These guys own 400 or 500 trailers. I don't own that many. But that's what he told me. He said he didn't think it was fair that I was able to buy those trailers with not putting down one dime. He said, so the next time you come back to buy a trailer, he gonna have me put down a deposit. Now I know he never said that to nobody else but me, but he said it. People don't want you to have nothing, especially anything of value. That's why whatever you do, you gotta make sure you stay spiritual, stay intentional, make sure God is in it. Because if He's not, you're not gonna make it. Anyway, I own my stuff, and I never went back to him to buy another trailer again because I already know what his intent was. He had intentions too, and it wasn't spiritual. Anyway, he had intentions too, and it wasn't anything holy. I just put it that way. He might have spirits, but it wasn't no holy spirits. Anyway, that's my story about living intentional, staying spiritual, because you can't have one without the other. So, at the end of the day, my new intention is, I met a guy that he's younger than me. He started his own company already, and I'm going to sell my stuff to him. I met him one day. This made my whole. When this man told me this, he didn't even know me. I met him at that plant, the same plant I loaded that trailer at. I met him there, and he told me, "Are you out of Houston, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I heard about you." I said, "What you mean you heard about me? What you hear?" He said, "Nah, I heard you own them tanks. You the one that owns that company." I said, "Yeah, I do." He said, "I always hear stuff about you." I said, "Hopefully it's good." He said, "Yeah, I want to be like you." I was like, "What?" He's just starting out, but he's a young man. He's a young man. He's a young brother, and he can make it. He's younger than me. He's like in his 30s maybe. and he's a man and he's younger. But when you're a woman and you're black and your mind is where it's supposed to be, you got two things you got to deal with. I found a lot of black men ain't gonna deal with you. They not gonna want to work with you. I never hired a black man yet. It's not because I didn't want to. It's just that they either want to try to sleep with you. They always want to outdo you. They always know more than you. They want to ask you 2,000 questions. They'll never ask the man. And they just don't. I have never hired a black guy to this day. And when I started my business, I started it for my people. And I never had my people work for me yet. And I find, well, no, I hired this one lady. Oh my God. Living my intent. And I knew I should never hire her. I knew it. I knew it. When I hired her anyway, first day, she forgot her glasses. She was late. Because she was a sister, I gave her a chance. And I remember it was time for her to get paid. And I had payroll. I had people handle all my stuff. Because I never wanted anyone to say, well, I didn't get my check or I didn't do this or that. So I had people handle my money, got people handle my equipment, got people handle all kind of stuff. So when it was time for her to do a payroll, she had to get with ADP. And ADP told her what to do. She did it. They take your money out of my account to pay whoever needs to get paid. So it was time for her to get paid. And they took the money out of my account to pay her. But she never got the money. This is the reason why I fired her. She never got the money. So she called me. She's mad because she didn't get her money. I said, well, I don't know. You need to call ADP. And so she called ADP. And she said, well, what's your account number? And she read off the account number. She says, that's what we got. She said, well, that account is closed. She was like, but that's the account number you gave us. You just repeated it. She said, but that account is closed. She said, well, what do you want me to do? You gave it to her. You signed it. That's the reason why I didn't handle payroll, because stuff like that. Anyway, so she wound up giving them the wrong account number twice. I fired her because of that. Why? Because if you don't know where your money going, you ain't gonna know where mine going either. And that was her last day. That's our people, man. I'm telling you. And I knew I should never hire her, but I did because I wanted my people to have. And I paid good too. Shoot. Anyway, I don't want to get beside the point. The point is, keep the Most High first. Get your plans in order. It don't matter what nobody think about your plans or what. Matter of fact, don't even tell nobody your plan. Cause when I first came to Houston, I didn't even tell nobody. I just got in my truck and I just kept riding. And I rode right into Houston, and I'm still here. And that was a long time ago. But I was saying how I'm going to sell my equipment to this young guy. And the reason why is because he's a young guy. He's a man, he's a young man, he's a brother. And he got other brothers working for him, and he's gonna be alright. And because I'm getting into farming more, and I'm praying. I don't even have it yet. I've been praying the Lord bless me. And today is the reason for this whole video. Today is the reason for this whole video about being intentional and staying spiritual. This is what happened to me today. This is the reason why I'm on this thing right now. Because today, the last 4 or 5 months, I've been praying about this place I found. I realized I was the one in the middle of why I don't have it yet. And when I was sitting down eating lunch, when I was at my office, I think I was at my office. And my daughter was on the phone talking to me about something. And it just dawned on me that I'm in my own way. I have my own time. I'm thinking about planting seasons here, and I don't have my seeds in the ground yet. I don't have my seedlings even in a pot nowhere yet. So I'm planning around. I'm pressing God to work around my own plans, I guess, and that's what I was doing. And then when I realized I was doing that, I had to repent, of course, and I asked God to forgive me, so I can get out of my own way. Because the longer I stayed in the way, planting season won't come and go, and I'll still be in the way, wondering why I don't have no seeds in the ground. I plant every year. I got another house in South Carolina, but I'm getting that to my daughter and her family. Because I'm in Houston. I'm not in South Carolina. I haven't been back for 10 years. Anyway, it's another story. So that's the motivation for today's topic of being intentional, living spiritual. Because when I realized I was in my own way, I had more energy. And the energy I have now is focusing on me and not focusing on what I think God's supposed to be doing. And when you operate under your own righteousness, you can't do nothing. You don't have the power to make nothing happen. And then it wasn't on purpose, of course. You're seeing what you can do, and what I'm asking for, I know I can't do. I don't even have the money to pray for. This a lot of land, and I know I don't. And when I buy this, I want it paid for. I don't want to go in with no debt. I don't have no debt now. All my stuff's paid. All my equipment, everything's paid for. Praise the Lord. Everything is paid for. That's another story. But the motivation of today's topic is I had to get out of my own way today. And my intent for praying for this new place I'm trying to get with all this land is I had to get out of my own way. Because as long as I'm in the mix, God won't be there. Because He gonna, if you can do it, if you can establish your own righteousness, do you? If you can establish your own righteousness, then do you. You know, do you. However you feel. You're not gonna get that far. And when I got out the way, when I was on the phone with my daughter and I realized I was doing that, I've been on cloud nine ever since. And I realized I've been in my own way. So now I done stepped down and decided I'm gonna let my father handle his business, because when he blessed, and if he would have blessed the way I thought he should have blessed, anybody could have done that. There's no blessing in doing it the way I was trying to do it. Anybody could have done that. Anybody who had the money could have done it. But when God does it, I ain't gonna see it coming. Like when I bought my truck, I was riding around in my blessing for 3 years, didn't even know it. I own that truck today and I paid cash for it. I still have it. I drove it the other day. You're already in the blessing and don't even know it. But we could mess up our own blessing by being in the way. And that's what I was doing. But I repented today and I stopped participating in the blessing. And I still believe God gonna do it. But I'm gonna help this young guy get on his feet. I gave him a lot of good advice on what to look for and how to make it. I think he's gonna be all right. Anyway, YouTube, I know I kept you up too long, but I said it was gonna be a long video. It's supposed to be short. But you know what? When you get in the spirit, I'm gonna tell you something. This real talk. I'm getting ready to say. Everything I just said today is a testimony to the Most High. So as I close this, I'm gonna repent again. In the name of the Father, I ask you to forgive me for getting in the way, intervening. I ask you to forgive me. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight. As you lead and guide me throughout the rest of my life, I ask you, Lord, to forgive me and cleanse me from all unrighteousness. I repent now for anything I done and said, thought, did, or wanted to do. I repent now. Today's video is for you, Lord. It's a testament for the things you already done in my life, the blessings you had already bestowed upon me, the blessings that people receive just knowing that you blessed me. And because you blessed me, they're going to do the same. They're out there doing the same thing to be a blessing to not only themselves, but to their family as well. So I thank you for giving me the last 6 years of being 100% on time. Every load, every time. And I don't brag about that. I'm telling you, that's a hard thing to do. People don't think you're supposed to make it. But I never missed a load. I'm never late in the last 6 years of being on my own, under my own authority. I never missed one. Even this last load I delivered, through all the ice and snow, that was my last one. Not only was it the last one, that last one saved their day because all the other product was frozen. But it's not because I'm tooting my own horn, I'm not. And I don't mean to be emotional. It's because of the leadership of the Most High I was able to do it. I always wanted to leave on top. I never wanted to leave because someone knocked me out or because I didn't have enough money or because I didn't have enough load. I never wanted to leave this way. I always wanted to leave on top. 6 years. Actually, it'd be 6 years. I bought my first tank on April, I think April 15th. On March 28th, I bought my first tank. It'll be 6 years next month that I've been on my own with my own stuff. And we never delivered a load late. So again, I say all praises to the Most High, the creator of the heavens and the earth. The creator of me and who I am and who I become. I praise thee. I thank thee. Anyway, you two, I'm gonna go. I done started crying, my nose running. As I always say, stay spiritual, live intentional.